Hey everyone, I'm Mark Grasse, and this is Podcast Mark, where friends, colleagues, and other business professionals on my podcast to discuss not just business and say professional development, but also personal development and how all three of those things intersect in your life and allow you to be both successful, progress, and be happy in general. So I have my good friend Dean Davis on the line. He's one of the AI crazy people that I talk to a lot. He actually worked with me at Digital Marketer to create some articles and some frameworks for maximizing the potential of AI, which I think everybody is trying to do currently, but it's still brand new. And today I thought we could talk, AI, of course, but also about inflation, which I know you have some pretty interesting concepts about and how to survive and thrive in this crazy world. So welcome, Dean.
Gosh, thank you so much. That is so awesome. Yeah, we did do some pretty awesome projects together over at Digital Marketer. Now Mark is off doing his own thing, sowing his wild oats out here. And he is a river of gold. He's always coming at me with different sort of projects. Just on one aspect, I came to him with how I said I was going to make an RLL bot, a really long list AI bot. And I thought I was going to be all cool. And I messaged Mark and I was like, hey, I got this AI bot that I made that can write articles while I'm sleeping. And I'm going to make, 10,000 articles, and he's like, oh, that's really cool. Cause I made about 500,000 articles that I made with my little plugin. And, I'm just going to dominate the baseball space. And it just kept happening like this where, and so he just kind of had it in the back burner, and I think that that's kind of says a lot about what Mark does. Is he's going and he's familiarizing himself with a certain area, and you don't know all of his tricks. Obviously, I think I'm coming up with something crazy here, but yeah, I was shocked about that, and yeah, talking about marketing into inflation, I was doing a little bit of work with him, and he brought up a potential few different ideas for maybe doing a TNC speaking thing. So I threw out a couple concepts, and I actually, even though it didn't do the trafficking conversion, I ended up taking that concept and building it out even more to where I got John Benson on this book. I got David Deutsch. David Deutsch, one of the leading copywriters of our modern era. Darby Rollins. We all know Darby Rollins. One of the initial Jasper conversion AI Jarvis guys. I got Stu Heineck on there, Tim O'Keefe, and Seth Green. And what's crazy is that, just real quick, with the whole marketing into inflation thing, is I wanted to make this book because I have a family business too, and our raw materials went up like 300%. Yes, over 3 years it went up. Like, so imagine that. So one of our components is oil. So when you go pay more at the pump, I'm paying more for my raw materials, and that's just how that goes. And all the products that are made with plastics and all of this is all oil. So I try and pass certain costs down, and I see that the market is what it is. Why are people don't want to pay more? So it does get really tough, and I see that this is a real issue. And you see TikTok; these people are like crying. I can't afford this. I can't. So they want to start their side hustle. They want to try and find some way to do it. And so I was thinking, okay, well, at least how does marketing get affected during the inflation? So there's 4 different. Let's just talk about the AIDA funnel: attention, interest, desire, action. Right? Attention, interest, intent, purchase. So the first stage is the awareness stage, and then with that, you're going to face increased advertising costs for the inflation. And for the second stage, it's going to be heightened price sensitivity. So when you get to the interest, after you get to the advertising cost and you get to the person, then they're going to be all price sensitive. Then they're going to be like, this is too expensive. So even if you get to the customer, then they're going to be like on their back foot. And then when you get to when you get through the actual cost, then they'll have delays. And they're like, okay, I'll buy it at that price. I'll deal with it now, just not right now. Right. So then that's that stage. That's the next problem. The inflation is making worse. And then the last stage, the purchase stage, once you get them through the delay, after the advertising cost, the price sensitivity, after the delay, the last stage, inflation still has you because it's going to cause pressure on the pricing strategies. So all these other people, they're trying to get at your customer as well, you know, and so they're going to try and discount, cut your margin to nothing, you know, and that's what's going on here. So I'm reaching out to marketers, and I'm, you know, even Mark Grasse, now that he's doing his own stuff here, I'm seeing all the different offers that he has and how it can help each stage of that. And I want to be able to allow people to use my estimator to play with that and then suggest which of Mark's material is going to be the most amazing and most incredible. So this is kind of how I'm thinking about book marketing, you know? And so I just wanted to basically there's one aspect that, again, I thought I was being all cool when I reached out to you about the RLL bot. So I thought I was doing it again, and I was going to make this book, and I was going to impress Mark Grasse, and then he ends up beating me again by coming out with this concept.
I was still impressed.
Check this out. No, check this out. Check this out. Then Mark Grasse comes out with a thing called Magazine Mark. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
And this he said, I don't like the idea of he said, I love the idea of a book, but a lot of people are doing it, and it doesn't give me the longevity that I like. Ouch. That hurts, because that's brilliant. And it just keeps happening to me where, you know, so can you just talk to me a little bit about like Magazine Mark and kind of just give me a little bit of that? Because again, it came out of nowhere. It's brilliant. The way that you can make it continuous like that, like, did you actually were you looking at magazines and then it came to your mind, or was this just organic in how you can see things?
The thing with the magazine is I am in Austin because I sold my magazine. So my original like claim to fame was selling my magazine to Onnit Labs, and that's how I got to Texas.
Okay. The origin story reveals.
Yes,
okay.
But it goes a little further than that, because I came up with the magazine because I was trying to do organic content marketing, and I realized that if I had a magazine, I could actually collect all of the content I want for free, and then I could just promote. So it's essentially a cross-promotional way of generating content from as many people as you want in as many categories as you want, and you have the platform because you have the magazine. And the difference between a magazine and say a blog or anything else is that people could hold it in their hands, and they get to say like, I was in a magazine, and I could show it to people. So then they become a marketing channel for you too. And they get benefit because you're promoting their content. And now everybody else has it, and it lives on in perpetuity because you actually have a final document. Unlike a blog article that's just like, oh, hey, could you write an article for me? Like, yeah, you could do that, but wouldn't it be cooler if I sent you, this actual thing at the end of it? So that's kind of where the magazine came up. And
it's even truncated like that, and you could then put it out into multiple iterations of it. And it solves just a distribution problem. And is that what you're thinking? Is how do I distribute all of my different types of offers and options here? And then so you're thinking,
yeah, it's a central resource. It's essentially an index of the rest of your content. So now that I have, we have all these digital assets, but we're still stuck in like this, this pool. It's just like you're covered in information all the time. And if you have just a single resource to say like, oh, no, don't just dive in. Like, here, let me give you this. And it's curated, but it's also content you weren't necessarily looking for. And I think the biggest thing with the internet and why it's not the same as a magazine is because you have to know what you're searching for a lot of the times, or you have to rely on somebody else to curate your content for you, which is what we have with social media platforms. So you either have Google or whatever search engine you're using, which is requiring that you sort of know what you want, or you have Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever that's saying, hey, here, based on what your search patterns are and who you're connected with, like, here's some content. But either way, it's inefficient. And honestly, like, I don't know what I will like. So how do I discover new things? And so the magazine's kind of a reflection of where I see all brands are going to have to go, because you're going to have to curate content, and you're going to and people are tired of finding information. It's boring. Google gives you 300 million answers every single time you ask for anything, and literally none of them somehow are useful. And the only other option is ChatGPT, which is good. It's generative, and it'll give you what you want if you ask the right questions. But what we really want, I think what we're getting back to is like, hey, I want a dependable source that I trust. I know what I'm going to get because I see what you produce currently. And now I'm going to, just go to you instead of going to Google or going to generative AI to generate something because I know that, oh yeah, Mark's Magazine always talks about these subjects. And so it gives me as the creator the ability to categorize my stuff, but also
Yeah,
gives you the
killer.
ability to find things based on
Yes.
generally the fact that you like my stuff or you like how I deliver the content. So it's very flexible. And then if you look at the magazine, I actually incorporated like 100 different links inside of it that lead to other
Yeah.
things. And while I was doing it, I actually came to the realization that because of generative AI, you don't have to just give an article where you say like, "Hey, here's a concept, and good luck. I hope you do it right." You could now give a prompt where people could customize your concept to whatever they want to
And you
them.
got the QR codes in there
Now
just
you
so
have QR
people can
codes.
shoot right over.
Yeah. So
You
it's
just put
very
it right in the
flexible. Now you can do
application.
this with a book too, but people's perception of a book is like, okay, I'm gonna have to sit down and focus and read.
And the way that you just said that, oh, they're going to have to go onto Google and they're going to find all of these different results. The reason why they're going to find all these different results is because information contains so many subcategories that when you actually have a magazine, you don't have to read it from beginning to end,
Ah, you
find
flip
the
around.
contiguous thread throughout the whole thing. You have a lot of little bursts of information that work in solitude with itself. So yeah, it's self-contained in that way, and that's what's really shocking about it is that you could actually allow people to kind of get a 30,000 foot view by giving people the level of information. Like you've solved so many problems with this, it's freaking ridiculous because you have YouTube Shorts, you have the TikTok generation where everything is very short. We have truncated information,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to have that magazine and just say, hey, here's not only just less, you don't get a thick book, you get a little slice of information for things to think about this quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows for the continuous updating, so it's more current than any other type of book would ever be.
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
that's just what happened to me when I came to you with this, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to make sure and still think about that and not make the book as big as I would have otherwise
oh,
done. So
that's good.
yeah, I'm adjusting based on that wisdom, so that I can, offer a next version. Or here's what I'm thinking with the marketer, with the marketing into inflation is that, I have these experts and then I could then kind of break down into categories. So if I reach out to say like, a solar companies or some type of high ticket, like make a high ticket version. So then I can almost emulate the magazine style shorter bursts of it
Mm.
with that, because that blew my mind. And that's definitely right. He says that every business is going to need a magazine one day, and I believe that.
Oh.
I think that's genius.
Well, it actually goes even deeper than that because essentially, it's acting as an index, but it's directing people to, find out that you have databases of content on your website. And so even like one of the articles was
Mm,
about like the top choice AI. And on my website, I actually have a directory of AI reviews. And so what it just kind of introduces you to the concept. And then when you click on it and
mm.
you find the reviews, you'll be like, oh my gosh, there's a million. Now, when I'm looking at AI, I don't have to like just guess and do a search to review AI. I could check Mark's database and I know that it has reviews. The reviews are always in the same format. And this is getting into like content structure now where,
No, that's right. No, books are not even for top of funnel. Small informations are for top of funnel. So a magazine is the only thing that should even be presented for anything in the upper area of the funnel.
imagine a world where your brand transcends visibility, embedding itself into the consciousness of your customers. Welcome to the AI Branding Bootcamp, where this vision becomes reality. Dive into AI-powered research, strategy, and execution to create a brand that's not just recognized, but felt. From crafting your brand's avatar to mastering AI-generated content, emerge with a brand that resonates deeply. Ready to transform your brand into an unforgettable experience? Join us at the AI Branding Bootcamp. The future of branding begins now. Oh yeah.
That's
Well,
right, because nobody wants to read a whole book unless they're already interested. So you got to be
yes.
so far down, you got to almost be a repeat customer to pick up a book.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's kind of like
that's right.
Well, for me personally, like I was always interested in like stoicism, right? So it's like, I'm interested in
Yeah.
stoicism, and then you see a few quotes on TikTok, and then you're like, oh, let me up the level, and I'll get into like the long form YouTube videos, and then eventually the step is, okay, now I downloaded, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and now I'm
Yes.
learning more about stoicism. But it took like I mean, I was interested for like a year and a half before I downloaded a book, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, now I have the level of interest to get that deep into it. But, it's just, it's the journey, right? You just have to introduce concepts and then you just feed that interest with deeper and deeper forms of content. So it's like a hierarchy. But, for the most part, I mean, 95% of people are only going to, hit you up for that one
And
piece,
here's
the
the thing is
start
I
from the
just
top.
discovered something shocking too. It's a thing called the
Mm.
XY problem.
Oh.
And in this whole chat GPT thing, I've been doing more programming, more computer programming, because it allows you to just teach yourself so much at such a rapid pace. And it's got even a bigger context window so you can program more. And in learning, I've been hearing some of these different concepts, and one new powerful concept for programming is the XY problem. And that's when you go to search for something, you go to solve a problem, what do you need? You need Y. You go to look for X, and then you need Y, but then you find out you don't have everything necessary for Y. So then, Y becomes the new X, and then you got to look for a new Y. Or, you imagine that it could be an endless road to, if you have a magazine, if you have these a distribution, a way to kind of look at it from a 30,000 foot view, then you don't have to get lost in the weeds by just going in too deep. You can kind of keep it at a directed way, so then it is really just like a front line way of introducing the topic. So yeah, the whole idea of the XY problem, like you're saying, like there's a needle in a haystack. Is there's so much information out there, it's ridiculous. So it's very easy to, as you're trying to, I've been trying to improve my estimator. So before it was
Mm.
just a calculator, and it would like intimidate people. Yeah, I would show it to Grant Cardone directed me to the team a few times, and these top people, it would even they'd look at it and they'd say this is almost too much for the audience. So over the last month and a half, I've been making it so it's just pure visual. It's like
Mm.
instead of looking at input boxes, they just see a funnel. So as I'm trying to build this out, I'm really encountering the XY problem a lot, where it's like, you know what, let's not go too deep into that. Let's keep it simple. So knowing that and kind of building that around the awareness, I feel like you were the president of digital marketer, and you kind of had such a unique ability to, in the blink of an eye, see how human behavior is very considers this short attention span in this
Mm.
way. So I think that they're really missing some of this option for you, because I mean it's shocking, all these different, because not only that you built magazine Mark, but then you also have podcast Mark. So
Mm.
you're building all, it's like the wheel and spoke model, where you have the one concept and then you spoke out. But then when you do find some other key aspect, even among those, you link them together in a novel way.
Mm.
And so it's just
Man, you get it.
like
That's so nice.
the awareness, yeah, exactly. I see you. Yeah, you're seen, and that's what I'm saying, is that there's all these subtleties that, like a master chess player, that after it turns out that if nobody's ever played chess and they show them a chessboard for 5 seconds, then they won't remember any of the pieces. But a grandmaster, if you show them a chessboard for 5 seconds, they'll see a game in the works. They'll see that there are positions, that there are plans, there are intentions. So then when they take it away, they say, where are all the pieces? And they can put them right back to where they were. And that's what I'm saying, is that, when you've been doing, how many podcasts have you done?
Oh,
Do you even
hundreds.
know a
I think I did
number?
like
It's
100
like,
last year, but I'm doing 15 this week. So it's kind of like, and that's the thing, everybody always, they always limit production, but it's like, if you just set a target and you're like, okay, here, I'm going to
input.
systematically contact all these people. I'm going to systematically, well, and make a big push because, at the end of the day, like you can't just be constantly producing, I'm even now I
Yeah.
can feel it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really pushing it here. But I know that I'm actually producing maybe like 3 to 4 months of content, and it's going to be super consistent because I did it during the same time frame. So that helps. But just with the whole chess master thing, the entire project, like the concept of the magazine, is actually related to what I think is going to happen for most companies, which is what I call an organizational knowledge interface, an OKI. And what that is essentially pulling your database of all the content from your company to, and then licensing all of it so that you have an AI that is only driven by your content. So the only way you could use generative AI to produce content would be to come to your website because you have a certain type of content.
Mm.
So the
Yeah.
magazine is actually forcing the databases to be created, and then once the world's ready for it or the technology is ready for it, I'll be able to actually produce an Oki for my brand that'll actually spit out all the information you could ever want, and it's all going to be consistent
Wow.
because I generate it like this.
That's crazy. Yeah. So it would actually be able to manage the tone throughout all, and that's what, Peter Thiel, the former founder, or the founder of PayPal, and yeah, he's just the Silicon one is known as having the highest IQ in all of Silicon
Oh
Valley.
wow.
He talks about how the main reason for business, the whole intention is that you need to get an actual an edge, like you have to get a monopoly. So that's the idea, is what you're trying to forge there is like a little bit of a monopoly on your own type of
Your
property,
content.
something proprietary. And that's probably the most hardest thing to even do right now when everybody's creating stuff like this and things are becoming so easy. How do you make something proprietary? And your solution is to be able to grow with it,
Mm-hmm.
to actually take all of the different advancements and then try and put them together in a way so that you put your signature on every one of them. So that every time there's a new advancement, you're saying that basically we should try and put it into an Oki so that it's all together and it kind of grows together to create something even more proprietary. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
heard this word
Well,
concrescence, and that's actually what it
concrescence.
means, is concrescence. Alfred North Whitehead.
Ah,
He's
I'm gonna look that up.
yeah, yeah, that was yeah, things grow together, they concress together. So yeah, it can kind of to concress a proprietary concept through AI. I love that.
Oh yeah. Well,
That's really
and it
good.
goes because a lot of people think in terms of like topics, like, okay, my brand is about these topics, but if you're really on that next level of content generation, then you should be as worried about the structure of the information as the information itself, because the structure is really what people attach to. That's the thing they could get familiar with. And then the content will just be the content, but the structure of the content, so going back to the AI, top AI, I basically said, like, here's the platform, here's the type of platform it is, here's what it does, and here's why I think it's awesome. And then that's the structure. So you know that every time you look at a review, it's going to have those pieces in it. Now you have the expectation of what you're going to get. And now you could subscribe to
Yeah,
that because it's not like a big surprise every time. And honestly, we all like familiar stuff, right? It makes us feel
yeah,
safe. We have an instinctual need for it. And when you don't have
easy.
it, you have cognitive dissonance, which is, oh man, I saw this before. They did this piece of content before. I really liked it, but now they did another one, and now I don't know. I liked how they had bullet points before, and I like how it started with this part and it had highlights here, and I like that. And this doesn't have that, so I guess everything's just a one-off piece. So I'll just wait until randomly another piece of content comes up that I like, and then I'll check it out. But the real, like, YouTubers, you see YouTubers, they come up with a formula and then they execute that formula 500 times, and then everybody's like, oh, how do you do it? And it's like, no, well, I mean, the content has to be good. You have to have good content, but at the end
And
of the day,
what's killer about
it'll
that, and that's exactly right. I just heard that the how many videos do you think it takes for the average channel to have 1 million subscribers? And they looked at
Mhm.
this mass, like all 100 million channels, and it turns out that the average number of videos for a channel with 1 million subscribers is 3,800. So I mean, 3,800. I'm doing the math on that. I'm like, okay, that's
Like,
one a day
oh,
for 10 years.
yeah.
I mean, that's one a day for 10 years. And I look at my channel and I'm always like trying to put in all sorts of like, oh, I want to make it all this. I got like literally 25 videos on my little YouTube channel. And I've never considered YouTube to be my main means. I
Yeah.
always would reach out with something novel. That's why I built the estimator, so that I can find out how much I could put into a package to wow somebody when I reach them. I find out who I want. It's more of a sniper type situation where it's like, look, I have something for you, and you should look at this. And you could reach out to Grant Cardone's people. They reach out to 300 people a day. on average. So you can reduce that. And so seeing those numbers, okay, you can only go so much, you can only go so much, and then you have to do something bigger. And that's why I see that you recently did the speaking traffic and conversion. So it's like you can take a bunch of little things, but nothing is really going to compare to then focusing on some big stuff. Thinking about what are you going to challenge yourself? What are we really doing in this life? Podcast Mark, it's about like, shocking yourself, right? It's about your life. It's about what are you really doing? And when you're actually going to say, hey, I'm going to die one day, like today's day 12,829 of about 27,000 days that we live. So, I like to keep track because it's shocking to see. I like to do shocking things. So
Yeah,
when
that's
I
great.
see that this is what one does, and so you were able to do something big, something a traffic and conversion. I saw Adrian Boisel. He had also worked for digital marketer. He had recently posted how over at Vegas they got his ad that was running on the big screen there
Oh yeah.
for a week. So he's like, check that one off the bucket list, and it's like that. I love that. That's really what it's all about, is that you're challenging yourself. You're going through, we don't know what's going to really happen. You control the inputs is what you're saying. You're saying
Yes,
control the inputs.
actions. Well, it's about just doing something consistently. It's and a lot of this goes back because I was in the fitness industry for 10 years. I had a gym, I wrote certifications, I was a chief fitness
Of
officer.
course. That's why you're all athletic.
It's wow, I played sports too, but actually the finding it was totally different. But there's actually a ton of correlations between, exercise and marketing because, a lot of people think you could just do it once. Like you do the right exercise and then all of a sudden you're going to be in super shape. It's like, no, it's a complete lifestyle. Like unless you're committed
Lifestyle.
on all these different levels, then, why should I trust you? You're not even doing it yourself. Like no, well, and if you're not doing it every single day, so it has to become a habit, and content is the same way. And that's why, like you said, 3,800, that is way higher than I thought. I was like, oh, it's going to be like
Isn't it
700
crazy?
videos. I'm like
Yeah.
3,800,
And that
but it makes
700 is
sense.
100,000. That's
Well,
about 100,000 ish.
100,000, man. But even then, like when I had the original magazine, like one of the things we did was these databases. Because what I realized when I was in fitness, and I wasn't always actually, I don't like to work out. Like if I could not work out, I would not work out. But it's functional, it's healthy, and it's good for you. But I went online and tried to find exercise. I was like, well, how do you do a push-up properly? And I found that there was like a billion ways to do a push-up, and nobody even named the thing. Do you spell push-up with 2 words, 1 word, or is it with a dash? And there's no consistency. So what I started doing
Wow.
was I started with the syntax of exercise naming, where I said, okay, well, I want to be able to alphabetically list the exercises, and I want it to be specific to a type of equipment or a methodology. And so then I just started categorizing everything, and I was like, oh, nobody's doing this. There's maybe like a couple people who had a list of more than 30 kettlebell exercises, say. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't we just, and I was very tired of looking at YouTube and having to listen to somebody talk about an exercise for 5 minutes before they actually showed the exercise. I was like, you know what? We're just going to do 15 seconds of somebody doing the exercise and then another 15 seconds of that same thing in slow motion. And then we're just gonna go. And so we created like, 1,000 videos or 1,500 videos. And it was actually pretty easy because it was just shoot a set, go to the computer, edit 5 at a time, publish those, shoot the set, edit 5. And then it was just very systematic. And so, if you just employ something like that instead of thinking like, I'm going to have the next biggest blah, 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 it's like, no, you're not. Like, that's like playing the lottery. Like, oh, this one ticket's going to be it. It's like, no, yeah, maybe some miracle will happen, but everybody's kind of depending on the lottery instead of just being like, you know what, if I just make $10 a day for XYZ, then I'll become a millionaire. And then it happens. And that's why it's always so shocking, but it's also so obvious. We just like looking at the phenoms, like, oh, well, this guy did it and he barely even tried. It's like, oh, that was awesome for him, but you know we're the other 99.9%. So is there a way for us? And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, just systematically create stuff and then just keep on doing it. And everything else will kind of flesh itself out. And there are ways to enhance and make it more efficient and better and blah blah blah. But if you're not even willing to do the consistent work for, we always say like for podcasting, it's like 100 episodes. Get to 100 episodes, and then you could start observing how the episodes were performing, rather than what we do, which is like post 5 episodes and being like, well, man, I only got like 10 downloads. It's like, yeah, you've done 5 of them. Like, we don't go see pro athletes that have played baseball 5 times, right? They played it a bazillion times and now they're awesome. So it's, when you start thinking about it, it's actually really obvious. And
And
it's
you
really
said it when you said
boring.
lifestyle. You said lifestyle right there, and you don't say, "Hey, I didn't like make the best photo today." The idea of lifestyle is that you take a lot of pictures. You're a picture taking person, and they said that your 10,000th photo is going to be way different than your first photo, your 100th photo. So yeah, looking at it like that and as the inputs. I mean,
Well, it's,
when you say lifestyle, you love it. You have to love it like that.
yeah, you don't even, well, that's the other funny part. You don't have to love it. You just have to have a
You don't think so?
formula that you just bust out. No, I'm not saying you're going to enjoy life. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
if your goal is to like I need 1 million subscribers or whatever, then bust out 3,800 videos. And
When you
honestly
saw
that
that, the way you saw that though, you saw that there was a gap where you said, "Hey man, these kettlebell, they're not even doing what's an interesting offer." That so the fact that you can see that, I feel like that's almost like
well,
you almost have to kind of have it. You have to
that's the
appreciate
funny
it.
part. The funny part is that I created it for me, and actually the AI database on my website, I created it for
Totally.
me.
See,
It's
that's what I'm
all
saying.
for, I'm just sharing things that I'm doing. And that's actually what you see with like, the
Yeah, I
AI
can feel
tool
it
with
too.
the,
I can feel it.
yeah, well, for me, it's the best way to learn. The best way to learn is by doing. And so I don't like, oh, let me research a bunch and plan out a bunch and blah, blah, blah. Because there's a good chance that you're just not going to like the thing in the first place.
And you
Just
even
do
do
it
it
a
with
bunch
your
of
kid too.
times.
You even instill this with the whole cookie baking machine.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you built a machine with your own son, taking this whole crazy design and bringing it into fruition. And yeah,
It's,
I love that.
well, everybody, they try to get to the end, right? They're like, well, I need a business plan and I need to know it's going to be viable and I need to know blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, do you want a cookie? It's like, I do want a cookie. Okay, well, let's just make a cookie machine. Like, oh, okay, that's so much simpler. And really, what we're doing, if you're not doing that, is you're trying to game the system, right? You're like, I'm not interested in this, and I think I can make money because there's an
Oh,
opportunity there. But
ooh,
who cares? Are you going to
yeah,
use your own
exactly.
product? No, no, just
Doggone
stop.
it,
Just be like, what do you need that's going to be useful? And then make the thing. And then if people like it, great. And if they don't,
one
it
hundred
doesn't
percent.
matter. You get a benefit because you wanted the thing in the first place. So it's
I
all
love it.
it's pretty obvious when you think about it. And we put all these layers of
When
complexity
you
on it.
find
It's
it,
like,
when you find it, when it seems
well, yeah,
like you
well, the thing
found
is,
it, then
most of it's going to not work, right? I mean, but that's
yeah,
every
yeah.
business. Everybody says, oh, after 3 years, only 50% of people are in business. It's like, no, no, no. There's so many more failures that just didn't even make a path month one. It's like, how do you
Yes.
qualify a business? But honestly, it's probably like 99% businesses fail. You just had no idea they existed in the first place, including the
Yeah, they
government,
just
because
on the
really the government
napkin that
owns. Or they
yeah,
try,
yeah.
like, oh, I tried to launch a landscaping business once, but as soon as I got a couple clients, I realized it just sucked and I didn't really like it. And then I stopped. It's like, that's a failed business. Like, and that's
Yeah.
fine. There's also nothing wrong with that, which is a whole different topic. Well, this has been
And that's
fantastic, Dane.
yes, this is killer. This I love this. I love this this theme. This is I just feel like there's just so much that we're able to go on about and just an exciting and eye-opening a, a way to actually talk with you again. It's been a little bit, it's been a year since the last time we
Has
actually
it?
did this.
Oh, man.
So
I have no
yeah, so
concept of time. Just so, so don't
having
be
this
offended if I
forum
talk.
here. Oh no, no, yeah, that's just so that's why this is just really exciting to kind of catch up with you. And you're every time I see you, you're always shocking me. So I just appreciate you having me on here. This is epic.
Well, I love what you do too. I mean, you have some amazing stuff. The formulas you created and just your perception of being able to include everything in one thing is really unique because most people are just worried about like, hey, how do I do this right now? And that's all that matters. And it's like, no, let's think a little bit bigger. Like, what could
Lifestyle,
it
we
lead
love
to?
it. We
Yeah.
love it together. You and I, we love it together.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Dean. Definitely have you back on soon. We got a lot to talk about. We did barely talked about inflation. That was a whole issue. I was like, oh, let's
Yeah,
really get
yeah.
into it, but whatever. There's time.
Next
You know,
time. Next
we're
time.
talking. Yeah. Well, where can people learn more about you in the meantime?
Yeah, remember this marketing is my site. Remember this marketing / book. You could see the latest on the book. Might have to get Mark DeGrasse in on this, get a little bit more of his thinking on his offers on which ones would be best for those that are facing this, and then that would be good to be able to present that, have that available as a nice resource. But yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
me. Remember this marketing.
Well, we'll talk because I have lots of AI ideas, and I think you're
Oh
the guy
yeah,
to talk to about them.
it's gonna be epic. 2024. Let's go.
There you go. Big times. Well, thank you so much for listening. This has been Podcast Mark. Tune in next time for more, whatever this episode was. Thank you very much for listening. Ah, that was great.
Dude.